everyone, my name is Sarita V. I love vintage fashion, photography, and sewing, and my channel is going to focus on that. Today I'm working on a sewing machine restoration. I want to get I've got this beautiful Sewmor 606 from the early 60s, possibly late 50s. It's really hard to find any information on it, and there's actually no info on how to work on these machines. So I wanted to make a video for you today. I need to replace the motor. The motor is shot, and so I picked up a replacement Alpha Sew sewing machine motor, and I picked a mid-range one, and this here should fit and should work really well. It has this plug, which I will end up having to cut off because it has to fit through like a little 1/2-inch hole, and this plug doesn't fit through there. I'm guessing originally they probably wired either the end or soldered the inside to the motor after the motor was installed into the cabinet, but for our workaround I got some wire plug replacement, so I only need one. But basically I'm going to cut this cord, put it into place, and then put a new plug on it, and that should be a good workaround. I also I didn't buy this, but it came with the sewing machine in a package, so this is probably from the 70s from the packaging and the store name, but it's just a rubber belt. You can buy these on Etsy or eBay or Amazon or sewing replacement place. So I was hoping that the motor wasn't broken and it was just a belt issue, but after I replaced the belt I realized that it was a motor issue. And then you'll also need a couple of tools. I'm going to start with just a couple of screwdrivers. I've got a couple flatheads. I've got a thin and a thick one, and then a Phillips screwdriver, and then also a little brush to clean up any gunk. The last thing you will probably end up using is a little machine oil, just to get everything up and going. So with that, let's get started. And you probably won't see my face until the end because I only have one camera. So the first thing we're going to do is to remove the motor. And here there is a very large bolt screw with a flathead top. And then here is the motor. Now, I actually already worked on this original motor just to double check that it really was broken. So I kind of pieced it together here. You can tell if you look all the way through, it's actually empty. And if you look in the box, you'll see all the parts in it. So it's actually missing a little bolt piece here that's on the end. But I just wanted to show you how it is attached in order to replace it. Anyway. And we want to hang on to this when we replace the other one, so we're going to put this aside safely. And it also has a washer, so we're going to put that aside. And then you can see this is what the original motor looks like. It was made in Belgium, which is pretty cool. I'm actually my dad's side is mostly Belgian, so it's kind of fun. This is where the power cord would come out, and the rest of it basically looks like a replacement. So I'm going to take the brace off. One thing that I was really hesitant about, I was actually looking to see if I could put a motor inside of this because I really like the blue color. And this replacement motor is not the same size, and I just don't know enough about electrical, so I'm not going to do that. But I do want to try and keep as much blue and as many original parts as possible. So, and just for those historians, this is what the cap looks like. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I actually don't want to use this brace. I'd rather use the blue one, And so I'm gonna remove these 2 screws. I already made sure that my L bracket actually lines up correctly with the screws. So I'm in good shape there. This one came with a Phillips screwdriver, or came with Phillips screws. Okay, out with the new, right? All right, I'm taking my blue brace. I'm gonna put them back in. I'm gonna use the new screws because I know they fit. Okay, there we go. And now I need to replace it here. So I'm gonna get my original bolt and drop that in there. Okay, and I always try and put it right in the middle. You can adjust it too later, like if your washer, if your belt tension's not right. And there you go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is replace the belt. And this here is a 12-inch belt. It's about 5 inches in diameter. And so when I measured it the first time, I just figured it was done by diameter, not by length. And so then I had to come back down to the basement and remeasure it, get a better idea. So I'm just gonna slip this around here. There's a little groove on the inside. And pull it in tight. I wanted to show you what you could do if you did not have a black stretchy belt like this. This here's got a lot of give in it, which is really convenient, but not everybody can get these. And you might have a similar machine that you know, came with one of these tooth belts. So anyway, these actually don't have any give on them, and the way that this is set up, I actually can't get it up and around this because it's so tight. So what you can do is you can loosen up your bolt, move the gear up, get it there, and then you can press it back down so you have good tension. Is that it? Need to go maybe a little further. And then tighten it up again. So you got 2 options. So for the next step, we're going to cut this plug and replace it after it's installed where it's supposed to be. And this is just the item that I got, easy to wire plug, and it's mostly for like lamps and small items. Basically, this comes out and you can put your cords in here and then put it back, and it's all nice and safe and done well. So I'm gonna just trim this. It is not plugged into anything. see the two cords. And just gonna slice down the middle there until I get two cords. You could just use this to strip the rubber off, which comes off very easily. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you real quick what I'm gonna do under the sewing machine. So what I'm gonna do is, in a moment, feed this through, and then what I show you is what I'm gonna do under the desk, because frankly, it is not very comfortable under there. For this type of plug, they actually don't want you to cut the insulation off. So there's no need to strip these cords so that they're bare. You want to keep them. And believe it or not, the way that the plug is set up, there's some holes in there with some copper or some wire. The way that it sits in there, it will actually make contact with that. So it's actually quite safe. So the first thing we're going to do is take this cover, the outlet cover portion. It's got a cord hole here, and it's on the side because if you pulled on the cord, it would just rip the wires out the way that it's set up. So this helps prevent that. And so we're just going to feed our wires through. Okay, finally going. Okay, so now you can see it coming up through the top there. And now we're going to take this item. So there are two holes, one here, one there. And then these here might look like holes on the camera, but they're not. They're little wire, copper, metal bits. So we're just gonna slide these wires right into these holes. Just like that. And I'm just gonna put them in as far as they can go. And I don't know if you noticed, but these here have spread out now that I put pressure on them. And that's normal. I don't have to worry about any insulating because everything's insulated in here because we didn't strip anything. Just gonna ease that back. And push that down as far as it goes. And there you go. I think that's as far as it goes. Oh, yep. So this goes all the way. It should be just about flush with that for a really good tight fit. And there you go. And this here is in there super, super tight and very nice. So anyway, I'm going to undo this, put my cord through, and redo it in just a moment. Okay, as you can see, I was able to get a good stitch on here on both sides. Got a little bit of work to do with the tension, but the motor is working like a beauty. I'm so excited. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that I was able to answer some of your questions. It took me quite a few months to work through the process of how to make this happen. So I am so happy I got my machine motor up and running. I am able to do a stitch. I have a lot more work to do on it. What I didn't show on camera is that I did go through and oil quite a bit of it inside. Cleaned up a lot of parts. I didn't take anything apart, just whatever I could reach. And besides that, it's working pretty well. So I'm going to put a link of the manual in my description, and also any parts that I used. I think it's about time that I clean up my mess and maybe get going on some sewing projects.